beneficiaries right now to be very worried about their monthly benefit. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time with you here in this live stream, talk about the details of these new rules that have now been fully implemented and are being enforced across the entire country, what this means for beneficiaries, your monthly benefits, the money that's deposited onto your EBT card, what this is going to mean for a lot of beneficiaries, as the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, is actually suspecting that this is going to impact upwards of 2.4 million plus beneficiaries over the next 10 years that may be extracted from the food stamp program. I'm not telling you that to scare you, but rather I'm telling you that so that you can have some ideas on how big of a deal this actually is. And as far as what's going on here. All right, so we have a bunch of moving parts here. Let me run through some of the details. We've all seen it out there in the headlines, right? I would imagine that you've seen it out there somewhere. Maybe you've heard somebody else talking about this. Maybe you heard your local news talking about it. I don't know. I'm not sure if it's on the local news. I don't know. I don't watch the local news. It's just, I don't find it to be very valuable. But anyway, either way, it is a thing, and it's now being fully enforced as of February. So obviously, here we are as I host this live stream right now. We're just a few days into February 2026. Okay, that's as I'm filming this live stream right now, or hosting this live stream, I should say. So maybe you're watching the replay on this at some point, but here we are. Okay. Let's talk about the details on this. And again, let me hopefully clarify everything you need to know here. I know there's been a lot of questions, concerns, worries out there around your benefit. All right, so there's a bunch of moving parts here. Let's work through one of these at a time. Otherwise, it's going to get way too confusing and just way too convoluted. Okay, it all goes back to the 4th of July last year, 2025, when the president signed into law the OBBB, that massive multi-trillion-dollar reconciliation bill. Within that, there were changes within it to reform the food stamp, the SNAP program, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program. That's where this all comes down to, okay? Now, here's what happened. These rules are going to be implemented across the board, across multiple different states, kind of basically giving timelines, basically saying, hey, we're going to basically give you this, this window of time to implement these different rules and these different parameters, okay? Now, some of this did go into effect back in November of last year. So what is that? I don't know, 4 months ago now, a handful of months ago now. And some of it is now going into effect as of now, the beginning of February, a few days ago, okay? Either way, let's talk through what it is. Number one is the work requirement, okay? This is one that gets people a lot, gives people a lot of worries, because here's the deal. People that are on food stamps, SNAP benefits, for the most part, doing what you can, right? Again, that's the situation for a lot of people. So this whole idea of, does this mean I need to go, work 20 hours a week or 80 hours a month, or do I need a job in order to get my benefit? What's the situation? The answer to that is maybe not, and realistically, probably not, okay? But some people, yes, the answer is yes for some people, but the answer is also maybe for a lot of people, and also no for a lot of people as well. Let me explain. And again, I know it's kind of an answer that's like, oh, come on, seriously, that's all you got? Let me explain it for you, because there's a lot of different moving parts here. Okay. So here's what it comes down to. The age range in which those people that need to fulfill the work requirements now, okay, as of now, the people that need to fulfill the work requirements are those people between the ages of. If you are not between the ages of these ages I'm about to say, then don't worry about it, okay? But there's more to it than that. It's more than just an age thing. There's other parameters around this that make somebody excluded from the work requirement as well. Hang tight. I'll break down some of those here in just a minute. All right, so what it is, between the ages of 18 and 64. If somebody's between the ages of 18 and 64, in other words, if you're 17 or under, don't worry about it. You're below 18. If you're 65 or above, don't worry about it. You're above the age range, okay? So that's one question that I get quite often is, do I need to worry about the age requirement for the work requirement? Okay, that's what I need you to focus on is, if you're between the ages of 18 and 64, now let's talk about this further, because now we need to break it down, okay? If you're between that age range, 18 and 64, now we need to understand further details on this. Okay, so that's just the age range. However, remember, this is just what they consider as ABAWD individuals. What that stands for is able-bodied adults without dependents, okay? So there's multiple different outs here as far as ways that you could be exempt from the work requirement. Okay, number one would be this. This is a huge one, and I get this question all the time, which is, I have a disability. Do you need to fulfill work requirements if you have a mental or physical disability? Answer is no. No, you don't, okay? Here's the deal. I know this is going to sound kind of weird, like, oh, this sounds kind of rude. I'm just going to say this because this is just kind of a fact. Somebody that has a disability, whether it's physical or mental disability, okay, that person is not considered, according to the rules here, according to the rules, is not considered an able-bodied individual. Therefore, somebody with a disability, again, whether it's a mental or physical disability, that person does not need to fulfill the work requirement regardless of age because they have a disability, okay? And again, I've explained that before in other videos, and again, I get questions on this all the time. Somebody reaches out and says, hey, I'm 62 with a disability, do I need to do it? The answer is no, okay? Somebody else reaches out and says, hey, I'm 66, I have a disability, do I need to do it? Well, first off, no and no, simply because your age is above 64, therefore you're exempt because of your age, but then number two, you're exempt again because of your disability. Does that kind of make sense? Okay. So I just want to explain that super fast because I get that question all the time, which is I have a disability, whatever the situation is. Again, disability does not matter what it is, just a disability that basically prevents you from working at, your capacity or, being an able-bodied individual. If that is your situation, then no, you're exempt from the work requirement, which is honestly kind of a nice thing, right? It's kind of a nice little exemption there. Okay, that's that. Now, somebody who's also pregnant. So somebody who's pregnant would be exempt from the work requirement. So again, kind of a nice little thing there. That is also another exception that would avoid somebody from doing the work requirement. Okay, that's that. Okay, so you just got to remember, if you're between the ages of 18 and 64, if you are able-bodied, okay, in other words, no disability, and you're between 18 and 64, well, that's what you got to be paying attention to. Now, there is another out here, which is the whole new definition of a dependent. Let's talk about this because the definition of a dependent has also been changed, okay? Prior to the rule change, the old definition of a dependent was basically anybody under the age of 18, okay? So anybody 17 and under was considered a dependent, but no longer. According to the SNAP rules, the food stamp rules, the Supplemental Nutrition Assistance Program rules, the new definition of a dependent is now 13 and under, okay? So somebody who is 14, 15, 16, 17, and above they're not considered a dependent anymore. Whereas before this rule was fully implemented, fully enforced, and fully reported, anybody under 18 was considered a dependent, but not anymore. Okay, so now with this new rule, somebody who is maybe an able-bodied adult who maybe does not have a disability and who is maybe, I don't know, somewhere between the ages of 18 and 64, who was not fulfilling the work requirement previously because they didn't need to, because they had a dependent, say maybe 14, 15, 16, 17, and they were exempt because of the age of their dependent, is no longer exempt in this case. Does that kind of make sense, right? So a bunch of people out there who were previously exempt, unfortunately, are going to be learning that, I'm not exempt anymore because my dependent is 14, 17, 16, whatever that happens to be, where they were exempt because of them before, they're not anymore because now the new dependent's age range is 13 and under, which is kind of interesting, right? Because that last time I checked, a minor is still considered anybody under 18, right? 17 and under is still considered a minor, but yet we changed the definition of a dependent to 13 and under. I don't know. Seems kind of weird here, right? I mean, we got to compare apples to apples here, right? Why are we changing the rules here? I mean, are we saying that a minor is now, that somebody 14 and above is an adult? Not a chance, right? So I don't know why they're changing the rules here, but that's what they're doing, okay? Now, as I mentioned at the beginning of this live stream, according to the CBO, the Congressional Budget Office, they've actually projected that roughly 2.4 million people are likely going to be impacted in such a way that they're likely going to be losing benefits on the food stamp program, the SNAP program, over the next 10 years because of this. Now, 2.4 million people over the course of the next 10 years would actually translate into about 240,000 people a year. That's about, what is that? 20,000 people a month. Is that right? I think my math is right on that. 24,000 people a month, they'd be losing benefits on this. 240,000 people a year. 2.4 million people over the next 10 years is what they're projecting. Obviously, it could be way more than that. It could be way less than that. But that's that. Now, why are we hearing about this now? Because I thought we heard about this a long time ago. You're right. Here's what happened. This was passed. It was signed into law on the 4th of July last year, 2025. President signed it into law. A lot of this went into effect back in November of 2025. Okay, we talked about it at the time then. However, official reporting and enforcement was not going into effect fully until February 1st, which is literally just a few days ago as of right now. It's just the first few days into February 2026 right now as I host this live stream. So a lot of this did go into effect a few months ago at the end of 2025, but they're not actually enforcing the reporting and basically the enforcement of these rules until now, until February, which is exactly where we are right here, right now, which is why we're starting to see this out there in the headlines a whole bunch again. Now, I want to point something else out for you. Remember last year, there were 18 states that were granted waivers to eliminate and ban the purchase of all kinds of things like carbonated beverages, pop, soda pop, again, whatever you want to call it. I know that people call it different names around the country, candies, dessert foods, prepared types of sugary items. There's all kinds of different things. It's different all across the country. There's different parameters every single state. Anyway, on January 1st, obviously that was more than a month ago as of right now, as I'm hosting this live stream, back on January 1st, a handful of states. In fact, I believe it was, 3 or 4 states? I had a video out at the time. It was either 3 or 4 states. Maybe it was more, maybe it was less. I honestly don't remember at this point. It was a few states. It was a handful of states that brought these new rules into a fully effect as of January 1st. However, now that we're in February, there's, I think, 3 more states that are implementing this now. I'd need to look this back up again. But throughout the course of 2026, February there's a handful, March there's a handful, and then again, as we continue to move forward, April, May, June, July, as we continue to move forward, basically through the first, call it 7 months of the year, all of the 18 states are going to be implementing the new rules and the parameters on the purchases of sugary drinks, carbonated beverages, pop, soda, candy, prepared dessert items, all kinds of things like this. And here's the problem with it. All of the parameters within each of these states is different, making it massively confusing. In fact, probably, I'm going to say 4 weeks ago, I think it was in early January. I don't remember the exact date of when I posted the video. It was probably a month ago or so, probably within the first week of January. I published a video, and in that video, I put an article up on the screen for you. And in that article, there was a chart that broke down every single state as far as the rules that they were going to be implementing with the new waivers that were granted to them, along with the implementation of these new rules. And it had that whole thing broken down. It was different for every single state across all 18 of these states. It was like a total mess. Like, why couldn't you just have consistency across the whole country? Like, either say yes or no across all these different states. But either way, it's like some states were banning just soda. Some states were banning just candy. Some states were banning basically anything that had sugar in it. It was like nuts, right? It's like, man, make up your mind on this thing, right? So anyway, just be prepared of that. If you're in one of the 18 states that has been granted a waiver, I would imagine that you're very aware of it at this point, that your state has one of these waivers granted to it and that's going to have these rules implemented. But just be very aware of that you're probably going to be micromanaged at the checkout counter. When you go through there, they're going to scrutinize every one of your purchases. Well, maybe not every one of them, but you get my point. Some of them probably going to have some scrutiny behind those. And by the way, I'd love to read your comments. If you want to, as these are implemented across more states, drop comments down below on videos. After you do your grocery shopping, if you have an experience where the cashier's like, hey, you can't buy these cookies or whatever you're trying to buy, whatever it is, and they try to act like you can't buy something, let me know. I would love to hear that experience. Again, I'm not acting like, oh, it's a good thing. I'm just saying I'm curious how they're going to do this, because generally a prohibited item has it built into the SKU, as into the UPC or the barcode on it, that basically just rejects it when you go to buy it with your EBT card. You know, you swipe your card and they say, oh, I'm sorry, you've got these 6 items over here that you can't buy with EBT. You can buy them with cash, you can pay for them with a credit card or a debit card, but you can't use an EBT card. Okay, fine. Then I guess we won't buy them, or maybe you'll just use a different method in which to pay for them. But anyway, share me your experiences if you'd like. Feel free to drop comments. I'd be very happy to read through those. I'm very curious to hear how this whole thing goes. But as I predicted, I don't know, a month ago in early January, I said I think this is going to be a total mess with all the micromanagement. There's going to be a lot of people that are feeling very offended at the checkout counter when they're ringing up their different groceries and the cashier is like, "Hey, you can't buy this one thing because it has 3 grams of sugar in it," or whatever. It's a carbonated beverage. The rules now say you can't buy this. I'd be like, "Hey, cashier, screw off, right? Leave me alone. Leave us alone. We'll buy whatever we want, right?" So anyway, I'd be very curious to read your comments on that. So anyway, remember, all those 18 states are going to have those waivers fully implemented throughout the course of this year, depending on the state in which you're in. Just be very aware of that. And according to what I've been reading on this, there's speculation that anywhere between about 4 to 6, maybe upwards of 8 more states will likely be granted more waivers this year to ban those purchases as well. So bringing that total probably somewhere around the 22 to roughly 26 states, roughly, that are going to be granted these waivers sometime throughout the course of the year. 18 already, between 4 and 8 roughly more to go this year. So we'll see what happens. All right, anyway, I hope this helps you out. Again, if you're just jumping on right now, please just go back and watch the first 10 minutes of this video. Or I don't even know how long this live stream is. Just watch the first handful of minutes. I talked about the new rules here that have been implemented as far as the work requirements, the ABAWD definition, able-bodied adult without dependent definition, the new definition of a dependent, and who would need to fulfill the work requirements. Oh, by the way, what is the work requirement? 20 hours per week, 80 hours per month of working, volunteering, skill training, education training, any of that stuff qualifies, okay? Anyway, if you have any questions on it and your specific situation, I would just recommend call your local office. Call your local office, talk to somebody there and be like, "Hey, this is my situation." Whatever. They'll be able to look at your exact situation, okay? This is obviously general information right here. Everybody's situation is very different. Again, that's my recommendation to you is if you have any questions on it, if you have any concerns specific to your situation, just call your local office. They can look into your specific situation and give you guidance from there, okay? Otherwise, if you have general questions, drop them down below. I'd be happy to jump on another video, a dedicated live stream, whatever it happens to be to help you out with this. But again, I know it's very confusing. Now, if you do not fulfill the work requirements, if you're like, "Hey, forget that, I'm not doing the work requirement, that sounds nuts," well, that's fine. Again, I'm not going to tell you what to do. Do what you got to do for yourself. More power to you. That's awesome, right? But just please be very aware. If you do not fulfill the work requirement and you're somebody that needs to, you can only get food stamp benefits for 3 months out of every 3-year period of time. So that's nasty. You'll get food stamps, you'll get the SNAP benefit for 3 months, and then you get cut off for 3 years. And then you can come back and get them for 3 more months, and then for 3 more years you got to wait. So that's a long time to sit between getting 3 little payments of not much money to help you out. Okay? Anyway, I hope this helps you. Again, as always, drop your comments, your questions, your feedback down below. Let me know what else I can do for you. And yeah, please subscribe if you're new here. By the way, in that video from this morning, I did feature the new comments that I pulled out of the comment section yesterday. I have maybe, how many pages do I have now? Let's count together all the pages. They're so fresh, they're so stuck together, I can't even grab them. Uh-oh, I'm dropping them. Here we go. All right, anyway. Pages of all the comments that I've pulled out of the comment section from all those of you that have been reaching out to Chapter. Amazing. Over $2 million of savings, which is so cool. Okay, all these pages. In the video this morning, I featured all the new comments that I grabbed out of the comment section. Again, page after page after page. These are comments from those of you in this community just literally in the last 2 months that have reached out after calling Chapter, saving a boatload of money. Amazing stuff. And I also have, I call this the leaderboard because I don't know what else to call it. I just updated this, by the way, as well. This is an old one. This is not the updated one. But these are just names that have reached out. Collective savings on a monthly basis, annualized basis. Again, just these 2 pages alone, about 150 grand of savings right here, just from these people. I have a new updated sheet on this. This is the old one, but anyway, you get my point. All right, anyway, if you haven't called Chapter, usually the phone number's right there, and I go like that. Well, obviously it's not there. but because I'm doing live stream. But anyway, the phone number's all over on the videos and in the on the channel anywhere. But after you call them, drop a comment down below on any video. Use the word chapter within it. I'd love to grab your comment and add it to my ongoing stack if I can grab all of them. My big stack here. Yeah, it's pretty cool. I like featuring those in videos. It's pretty cool. I love reading those comments. It's so cool just to help people out. And again, it's free. I've got nothing to sell you here on this channel. Nothing. I got nothing to sell whatsoever. Everything here is 100% free, which is awesome. Anyway, I love free stuff, and especially saving a bunch of money with something free. That's amazing. I love that. That's like the best of all the worlds, to save a bunch of money, get free help, free guidance, whatever it happens to be. All right, anyway, phone number will be linked. I'll put it down below in the description. Otherwise, it's literally like on every single video, there's a banner right there that says free Medicare help. Yeah, call them. They're very, very helpful. They've helped about 10,000 of you in the last year that have called that number. Amazing stuff. All right, anyway, please have a nice afternoon. Thanks so much for watching this. Let me know what else I can do for you. Please enjoy your day. Subscribe if you're new here. Enjoy. Take care. And I'll catch you again later on the next one. All right, if you're still here, you may want to click off now. I'm going to turn this off, and my phone's going to start talking, and it's kind of annoying, honestly. All right, anyway, here we go. You've been warned. Here comes the talking from my phone. Here we go.
Finish. Button. Are you sure you want to stop streaming? Cancel.
Yes. All right, we'll see.